and welcome. I am sitting here with Federico Cerelli, if I've pronounced that correctly, the winemaker at Castello Di Gabbiano. Federico, welcome to Ontario. This is not your first time.
No, it's not my first time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about your grandfather's wine. So you are kind of famous for having a perfect score at school, and my question for you is, what do you think? What did you think, or what do you remember of your grandfather's wine, and what is the value of a formal education?
I think the theoric part is fundamental, but to do the winemaker, I think it's very important to do practice. This is the reason during my study I was working in different winery during the harvest and also after the harvest, just to understand what means make the operation that you study in a book. And at the end is important because make an excellent wine means make the difference in a small operation, just the details. And if you want to explain to somebody else how can do the best operation in details, you must to do that before then he do. That means you must to train yourself to do the manual operation, and then you can explain to other people that work in the cellar for you how they do, how they can make that operation.
I often think of it as the blend of tradition and innovation. And so I would think of your grandfather's wine as tradition. Do you remember his wine at all?
Yeah, there are some concepts of my tradition in winemaking that I try to export in the new world, in the future. That means in the past we used a lot of concrete cement tank, and that is something that I'm still using. But with techniques, because in the past the concrete cement tank was without temperature control inside. Now we use the concrete cement tank with the possibility to warm and cool the mast during the fermentation. That means use the traditional way, but with the help of technology.
Okay. So on technology, you have an innovative system that you introduced to the winery. Can you tell me a little bit about this? This is the difference to me between remontage and pigeage, or pumping over and punching down. This can be one of the kind of biggest imprints of the winemaker and the winemaking decision. And can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts on this process and what you have innovated?
Yeah. When I started with Castello Di Gabbiano in 2011, I was consulting, before I was consulting for many winery in the area, a small winery, boutique winery. And before I was working for another big company like Cantinori. And when I started in 2011 with Gabbiano, they was starting to build a new area of fermentation. And they was waiting for the new winemaker to start this new project. Okay. And they asked me what we have to do. And the things I changed was the receiving grape. I take off all the screw from all the process. No screw means no, because my philosophy is for the Sangiovese especially. The Sangiovese is the base of is the most important grape varietal in Tuscany, and is the base of the Chianti Classico that is produced in Castello Di Gabbiano. It's important to broke the berry just when the berry is in the tank. That means if you have no screw, but just a vibration system to move the grape from the receiving tank to the tank where you ferment, you have a more full berry inside the tank to start the fermentation.
A gentler process.
It's a gentler process, and then if you have not broken the berry during the receiving grape, you have no losing color and losing polyphenol. That means all the extraction that you could do in the tank, you will maintain all the color and all the polyphenol in the tank, and you will extract with the wine. If you broken the berry before, the risk if you lose because you have an oxidation of polyphenol. And this is the first change that I did. No screw. And during the fermentation, the tank we bought are troncoconic, because my idea is to work with punch down and no more with pump over. And we work just punch down and délestage. I don't know if you know what means délestage.
Explain to our viewers.
Délestage means we take, during the fermentation, the cap of skin go up thanks to the CO2, and we take off all the liquid from the bottom valve of the tank and we move in another tank. That means the cap fall down and we have a gentle extraction thanks to the weight of the cap.
Was Castello Di Gabbiano doing pump over before?
They did pump over before.
So that's a pretty big change then.
Yeah, it's a big change. It's a big investment also because you had to change all the tank, all the system to work the grape. We changed everything.
How do you think that changed the wine that's in the bottle that people buy?
I think the wine now, most of the people, they know Gabbiano since many years. They say the wine now is more elegant, the tannin is more gently, and there is much more elegant wine because we extract just the gently tannins. We are doing a very gentle extraction thanks to these techniques. In the past, the extraction was sometimes a little bit too high, and it needed a lot of time aging in a bottle before to have affordable tannin to drink. Now the wine is also more gently tannin and more elegant, younger, if you want.
Excellent. So I want to ask you one of the questions that goes around my head quite a bit, and this is a question of oak. And oak specifically versus terroir. Maybe this is a silly question because maybe oak does not obscure terroir, but I think there is a sense within the wine community that there is a movement away from using oak, especially new oak. What are your thoughts on this?
Definitely, we reduced the new oak. We still using barrels instead for Reserva. Mostly of the aging we do is barrels. And this, the normal size, that is 225 liters each one. We reduce in the new oak. We are using just French oak. We are introducing since a couple of years a little bit of Hungarian oak. I think in the past they used just 2 tonnellery, 2 barrel producer. Now we are using 25 different brand of tonnellery, just French oak, because I think also the new oak, also if we reduce it, could be very aggressive and could cover the note of the fresh, of the fruity of the Sangiovese. But if you find the good wood to marriage with the fruity of the Sangiovese, the right wood will help the fruity and the elegance of the Sangiovese to come out.
So it can be, especially in the case of your Reserva, a way to show the terroir.
It can be a way to exalt the terroir.
Exalt, it's a good word.
If you find the right wood to marriage with that style of wine.
Okay.
And to do that, you must have a lot of experience in terms of each tonnellerie for each forest can give you in terms of style. All this experience I made when I was in charge in Antinori, because I managed like 30,000 barrels totally with a lot different tonnellerie, and that for me was a great experience to know different tonnellerie and different forest from each tonnellerie.
Have you chosen these tonneries yourself, or you've gone to visit them?
In these 6 years that I work with Gabbiano, I changed all the tonnellerie respect to the past.
Amazing. So lots of changes, really.
And then another point about the aging. What we are doing now, we are doing some tests, and for the moment I will tell you are very interesting about using local wood.
Okay, please.
We are using a wood that is grown in the area of around Florence, around Gabbiano, in the area of Rufina.
Not the oak species, though.
It's Roverella. It's an oak. It's smaller than the big oak. It's smaller. It's called a Roverella, and they can make just cask. And the average size for cask is 5 tons. That means 5 tons, 1 tons.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 tons.
Okay.
10 hectoliters, 1 tons.
Okay.
100 liters. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
10 hectoliters, 1,000 liters, each cask.
Large.
Yeah, large. This is the only size they could do because the wood is small, it's called a roverella, and the character of this wood is less sweet respect to the French oak, but is more the character that gives to the wine, especially to the Sangiovese, because I did test with Merlot, Cabernet, and Sangiovese. Merlot and Cabernet is not the right wood for Merlot.
Okay.
But for Sangiovese, it's very interesting because give to the wine a note of incense, very strong, and a lot of spice.
Sandalwood?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
sandal,
that's very interesting.
incense, and this is the wood, is local wood, is roverella. We are doing some tests.
So you're doing trials?
Yeah, we are doing some trials.
Excellent. That was one of my questions, was if you had a pet project. It sounds like that is it.
Yeah.
So another question that concerns me that I would like your opinion of is the question of vintage ratings. So it's not to say whether this vintage is good or bad from year to year, because the weather does cooperate or it doesn't cooperate. I understand that, but my question is, can we say that all the wines from a particular year are no good? And I wonder if you've ever had a bottle from an off vintage, let's say, that has surprised you, like it has myself.
I think there is no vintage, like you can say all the wines we produce in that vintage is no good. There are some vintage that are more vocated for long aging wine. There are some vintage are more vocated for young wine, for wine to drink young. And this, especially for Sangiovese, depend to the last month, September. Because Sangiovese is a big bunch and very close bunch, and the risk of Sangiovese is the mold attack. In September, if you have a lot of rainfall, humidity, the risk is that when you start to have mold attack, the only things you could do is pick the grape.
Okay.
There is no way. You
Yes.
can try to do some treatment, but at the end, when you see the attack of the mold in the bunch, it's just.
But according to the season, you would adapt and change to the season. And so for me, it's always more the producer that is important than the vintage. Because every year, a good producer will make good wine.
Yeah.
In a good vintage, everyone makes good wine.
Yeah. For example, 2014 is not a lucky vintage. 2014 is very cold, humid, but for us, 2014, we reduced the Reserva blend. We didn't do the Gran Selezione, but the Chianti Classico we did is one of the best Chianti Classico we never did before, because it's fresh, fruity, the aroma is perfect. It's because 2014 is not a bad vintage, but it's a vintage more vocated for make wine to drink young. That's the way.
I can't wait to try it. I have a strange question for you. Do you have a favorite wine bar?
A favorite wine bar where?
In Italy, in Tuscany.
In Italy, in Tuscany, favorite wine bar is my house. You can come in my house.
Okay.
And you can drink the wine I made since many years.
Yes, excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Federico, for your time. And I can't wait to try the Castello Di Gabbianos today.
Thank you.